In its final season, Star Wars Rebels introduced one of its most mind-blowing storytelling devices yet: time travel. For a franchise that's over 40 years old, this is no small addition, so defining how it functions is very important and not contradicting 4 decades of canonical movies, shows, books, and video games.
This is it.
So, for the sake of future debates with your friends, we thought we'd break down the basic rules of how time travel works in the Star Wars universe. It's metaphysical. In an existence where ships can fly at the speed of light, it makes sense that time travel wouldn't be based on physical principles. Although not yet realized, some physicists theorize that actual time travel could be achieved by moving through space at high speeds, which results in time slowing down and distance between objects decreasing. If this real-world physics were to hold true in the Star Wars universe, they already would have flirted with or achieved time travel through their hyperspace technology. But they didn't. So, time travel had to be introduced on a more metaphysical plane with a place they aptly called the
world between worlds.
A realm that hides amongst our existence. It's predestined. Time travel in fiction can be presented many different ways, but there are 3 types, which we will categorize by some of their more popular depictions. First, there's Terminator time travel, which is a single fixed timeline where, regardless of the time traveler's actions, the events that happened will still happen. In this timeline, a time traveler is simply moving back and forth across a sliding scale, where the action they take in the past is part of what makes up their future. Thus, no significant changes can be made to the timeline. All events that have, are, and will occur have already done so, and therefore future events can be considered somewhat predestined.
I'll be back.
Then there's Back to the Future time travel, which a single timeline can be altered by the time traveler and branch off into alternate timelines. The time traveler's future is dependent on the actions that have occurred in the past. Thus, this type of time travel can result in a paradox.
The time continuum has been disrupted, creating this new temporal event sequence resulting in this alternate reality.
Where a newly constructed alternate timeline can potentially conflict with the time traveler's existence in the original timeline, thereby affecting their existence in the alternate timeline and, well, Doc Brown puts it best.
The encounter could create a time paradox, the results of which could cause a chain reaction that would unravel the very fabric of the space-time continuum and destroy the entire universe.
Lastly, there's the type of time travel from the 2009 version of Star Trek, which is a multiverse where everything is happening all at once. And if the time traveler alters their timeline, they simply create a new existence in parallel with their original existence.
Father.
I am not our father.
Events within these separate timelines don't influence each other, but simply exist independently and with infinite possibilities. So which type of time travel is in Star Wars? Well, it seems to be a fixed timeline, and here's why. The world between worlds is a metaphysical realm that comprehensively observes all of time and space, where Ezra is able to see all events playing out simultaneously, but it's his interaction with Ahsoka that tells us the most about the rules behind this depiction of time travel. While using a portal to observe her final battle with Darth Vader, Ahsoka is saved when Ezra pulls her into the world between worlds.
Where am I?
However, rather than choosing to remain with him in the present time, she ultimately returns back through the portal to the moment of her could-be demise. One could assume this is because she doesn't want to mess up the timeline, but if we look back at the end of Season 2, when her battle with Vader takes place, we never really see Ahsoka bite the dust, and instead are hinted at seeing her walking in the entrance of the Sith Temple on Malachor after her battle. This same scene plays out again for us as she goes back through the portal, although this time from her point of view. Therefore, it can be concluded that Ezra and Ahsoka's interaction in the world between worlds was already an occurrence that is in an unchangeable, established timeline. She was simultaneously rescued by Ezra when we originally saw it, as well as when we saw it again years later. And no action taken by anyone or anything would be able to change that.
Those voices.
Time to fight is now.
Where are they coming from?
When combining this with the fact that Ezra can hear voices from people from the past, present, and future while walking through the world between worlds, and Force users have the ability to see in the future to varying degrees, well, it's safe to assume that the Star Wars timeline is fixed. It has only one gateway, we think. While the world between worlds is woven through time and space, its accessibility is limited. Ezra, in combination with his Force abilities, is able to access the world between worlds through a single portal located in the Jedi Temple on Lothal. Once in the realm, he can go to and interact with seemingly any point in time and space. To our current knowledge, this is the only portal that allows in and out access to the world between worlds. And although Emperor Palpatine is able to breach that plane using Sith sorcery, he still fails in doing so and is only capable of scratching the surface thanks to Ezra's abilities. By the end of the episode, however, the temple on Lothal is no more, and the portal seemingly gone along with it. While this is a great way to encapsulate the device of time travel strictly to Rebels and not let it convolute the larger Star Wars universe, a new portal could always appear in a future Star Wars story at a different time and location. So there you have it. While that's how time travel in Star Wars works, whether or not it'll be used again in future shows or films remains to be seen. But if you're concerned about major events changing or being retconned, don't worry. If the Star Wars timeline truly is fixed, then nothing can change the characters and stories that we've fallen in love with. For more on Star Wars, be sure to download the FANDOM app, follow the Star Wars topic, and get updated daily on everything from a galaxy far, far away.